Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at Matic then, and we'll have a look at some other coins on this video as well, because Matic and a lot of these small cap coins have been making some really decent moves, and I'm expecting the Matic be the front runner clearly, and I still think it's got quite a bit of move up to be had. That said, looking at a little bit of a pullback now. Maybe having a bit of a down day tomorrow. Let's measure this down to around 10% or so. We could be looking to test these areas here of around about 3.6 cent area to maybe 3.5 cent area. The reason I say that is that today we've had a really big move actually, and it's only fair that Matic pulls back from these. And I think it has to actually pull back. So let's have a look at the last sort of really big move that we had, which was from here to here. So that was an 18, almost 19% move up. We had a significant pullback from that area, and we came back down around 11% before we carried that move on. So I do think that we're going to have a little pullback here, maybe between 8 to 10 cent. Oh my god, not cent, Jesus, that would be a lot. No, 8 to 10% between now and these next few days before the next push back up. It's difficult really to call a top on this one, but we have been making some serious moves, and we've got all the way up to 4.5% to our previous all-time high. So yeah, I think it's only fair that we have a little bit of a pullback now. When we look at these daily candles, we've had bigger wicks than we have had here in the past. We'll have a look at Bitcoin basically. Bitcoin did some serious bouncing, I guess, and hit our descending trend. Sorry for the slurred speech here. I'm not drunk. I'm still poorly. I'm still ill. Chest infections running rampant in my family right at the moment. So yeah. But I'm surviving. So yeah. The obvious short again to be taken at this level here, because descending trend always gets rejected. We could be looking, and it's exactly what happened last Friday. We had a move that rejected from there. We came back up here, and that was a big move as well, a giant move to come back and test there. So I think what will happen is if we're not rejected from here and find our way back down into the red, we'll probably have another attempt at it tomorrow, the next few days, and then find our way gradually back down to these areas. Or of course, we could reverse the trend and break above it. I'm not entirely sure if it's looking mature enough to do that kind of thing, but it could do. So when we look at Matic doesn't really like to follow Bitcoin at the moment. It's doing its own thing. It's definitely extremely strong. The one thing I find relatively interesting is the volume on Binance. When we look at it, it's high. It's definitely high. I mean, at its peak at this level up here, we were talking about 1 billion in 24-hour trading volume, but it's nothing in comparison to what happened last time when we went completely mental, which was 7 times more than that. 6 times more than that. That's 7 billion. So we're not having the same volume, which is good, because it's basically a lot steadier growth. Even though it's really, really strong, it's likely to have a pullback and then continue. So we'll just briefly look at that on the 4-hour one last time. So yeah, the last couple of candles in the red, and yeah, I still think we're looking to come back down a little further before we push back up again, which is what we probably will be doing. So let's move on to Harmony 1, which is a coin that I've just ignored for a long time, and I've never even traded it, to be honest with you. I did look at it on this channel through a lot of people requesting it. So what I can say about this is that we've been accumulating now for quite a while. We're looking at this on a 12-hour chart. The reason being is that I'm actually getting a 200 EMA when I do this. And the 200 EMA is an important moving average to follow. We go on the 4-hourly chart, we can obviously get that. On the 4-hourly chart, it looks a little more bullish because, when I say bullish, it looks pretty positive, because we're finding our way above the green 50 and the 200 EMA, and we're staying above there for the moment. If we can stay above there on the 4-hourly, it gives us a chance to stay above there on the 12-hourly, which will give us a chance to stay above there on the daily. Let's have a look at the daily. We don't have a 200 EMA, but on the daily we have it's not constructive enough. Let's compare this to the way the Matic looked. So we'll go to a daily on this one. What Matic began to do, and what started to look exciting, is that we stayed above the green 50 exponential moving average for quite a while, signifying to me that we were accumulating at this level and we're looking quite strong. This is a number of weeks, month even, a couple of months that we stayed above there, given all these moving averages chance to reset and stabilize it, but go into a bullish posturing, and that's one of the main reasons that we launched. But when we look at harmony one, we're not quite there yet, are we? We're a bit more messy. We're all over the place. We're not really being supported from that green 50, and it's the green 50 which will be one of the precursors to its explosion. If we go to the 12-hourly chart, which is the largest time frame before we before we don't get this 200 EMA, we see that we're actually quite a fair distance away from that. We want to be coming up to at least test it, probably get rejected from it a few times, bouncing between the 50 and the 200, but ideally we want to see this on the daily, and what we really want to see is to get above this 200 EMA. I'm not going to go bullish on it until we're above the 200 EMA, at least on a 12-hourly. Obviously we don't have the daily to go by yet, so harmony 1 still, you could class it as accumulating, but it's a bit of a no-go for me at the moment until we get above this guy, which would start to look a bit more bullish for me. XRP doing some strange things. XRP is always a really difficult chart to read, which is why I don't really trade it very often. I am buying it up actually at these low prices, just a little bit here and there. In fact, out of all the coins that I've been buying, this is the one that I've been buying the most of. I know it's got a lot of hate out there, it's also got a lot of love, but at these low prices I can't resist. If it were to get to above 25 cents, I'll probably stop buying it again. There's no need for me to buy it, because I don't expect it to go huge, but I would like to see it hit its all-time high at some point in the next couple of years, so I'm just buying little bits of it up at this level. But yeah, probably actually if it gets to 23 cents, I'll probably stop buying it. I'm not really interested above that level. It's I wouldn't say it's overpriced, but it's not going to be it's not for me to be buying it above that level. But down at these levels and lower, definitely worth buying a little bit every week. I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. It's just what I'm doing. So I'm looking at this chart, and all I'm seeing is bearishness. It did have a little run yesterday, and again today. Pretty much did its own thing yesterday, but today it's definitely following Bitcoin again, which would probably mean that it's likely to follow Bitcoin on the way back down, which is, like I say, what I am expecting to see with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is an easier chart to read. Every day that goes by, this descending trend gets lower and lower, and our rejections are continuing to be rejected from that level. So it would likely mean that when we do make that larger step down to the 7,000s and perhaps lower, it's going to take XRP down with it. And then I'll be looking to maybe placing some longs with XRP, because we'll probably be looking at bounces similar to this on the first bounce back down to these levels. That's if we make a pretty aggressive move to the down. If we start to trickle down to these levels and then we break it, we probably won't be seeing a bounce at that level. We'll be down into this bottom level of the descending triangle phase 2. Well, you could technically call it phase 3, because we had a first phase here, phase 2 here. We'll call this one phase 3, and that's where we'll probably be looking to find our bottoms with all of these guys, with the XRP and Bitcoin, and that's where I'll be looking to place a long, and hopefully that long will take us back all the way back up to its all-time high at some point within the next 2 years. So there'll be a long trade that I'll be looking to place there. Anyway, the last coin I'm going to look at is Link. Chainlink has been suffering recently, but one thing I could say is that we did find our bounce on this magical 200 EMA. You've got to see how important moving averages are to trade in these cryptocurrencies. They're very, very important. They offer us quite a lot of clues as to what's going to happen next. Now the worrying thing about this is that we did make this run and we collapsed down in on ourselves. We're bouncing here now, and if we fail to bounce from it and break down beneath it, this fast approaching 50 moving average, 50 EMA, looks like it's incoming for a death cross. Now I'd be very surprised if that happens on Chainlink. I'd be very surprised if we get a death cross on Chainlink. But if we do, yeah, things are going to look pretty nasty, and we'll be falling quite steadily down. But for the moment, we've got to wait I'm going to have to wait this one out before I decide to buy anything on it. It is a tempting price to be picking it up here, and you can make that gamble that you could buy it here and it's going to reverse and start to bounce back up again. But this is a nasty fall, a really nasty fall, and because of that, indicators are beginning to fall down with it. So if we break down beneath this 200 EMA, it's definitely a no-go zone for me. This will be coming down quite dramatically not too long after that, and we might be looking to be picking up, I know this sounds crazy, this sounds absolutely mental, but we could be looking at picking up a Chainlink, a possible dollar in value. I know that sounds mad, but this is, like I say, we're talking hypothetically. The way that it's looking now, if it bounces from here, everything will be fine. If it fails to bounce, we could be going all the way down to $1. I know, shocking, tell me about it, I know, shoot me. But that's just the way it looks to me. Anyway, all eyes are still on Matic. Matic wants to sort of have a little rest, perhaps over the weekend, and then it might be looking to push its way back up to the level it's at now, breaking its 4-cent zone and making its way up to its all-time high. Anyway, I will leave it with you there. I hope that was interesting for you. If you've got any coins that you want me to have a look at, please send me a comment below. I'm happy to look at your coins. I prefer them if they're on Binance. I don't really like looking at things that aren't really on Binance, but you know, if you think and if you generally believe that something special is going to happen with that coin, or there's a reason I should look at it, then send me a comment below and I'll have a look for you. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice evening and a good weekend, and take it easy.